Alright everybody, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where this video finds you. This is Neil sitting in for the simplerstocks.com video for tonight. This is kind of the introductory video for Simpler Stocks, free video. Then we move on over into a premium video, go through a portfolio and look at a number of ideas. But got a couple of ideas for you guys tonight, and they're on IPOs. Here's a couple of IPO plays thought you might some of you might very well find interesting. So let's take a look and see what you think. Now, different ways to play different setups, like retracements into the averages, squeezes that will fire long and short, and where buyers or sellers of reverse retrace into the 8-period exponential moving averages, etc., etc. Inside range reversals, all kinds of different technical trade setups. Well, here's the one that we like to use for an IPO, and that is to allow this thing to, one, establish its IPO range, and then trade for a little while. It doesn't matter how long. It could trade 2, 3, 5 days, whatever, something like that. And then show me which way do you want to go. And in order for this to get my attention, here's the deal. The IPO range was up to $20.80 and some odd cents. And so I'm going to run an alert up here that will. There's a neat thing about technology these days. I mean, this thing will email me, text me, flash an alert on my screen, all kinds of stuff to make sure that it gets my attention should this BITI Therapies, BITI, trade outside of its IPO range, i.e. by breach of the high they are trading, say, $21.06, or you could run a $21.11 alert. Doesn't matter. I'm choosing to run it at $21.06. And with that, would be interested in being a buyer of this IPO trading outside of its IPO range. And so that's the trade setup. It's the IPO range, and a breach of that has me interested in being a buyer of that. Now, here's the next one I'll show you, and that is Wingstop. And the IPO range here that we can see takes it up to $31.99. The low here, this is kind of interesting. You might want to just look at this. The low down there was $29.18. You say, well, hold on now. If the low was $29.18 and the low today came in, less than that, then, does that negate your trade setup, or does have you thinking that you want to do something else, or blah, 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 whatever? No. I'm pretty market friendly, I'll tell you. And, I'm looking for buying opportunities on various trade setups, pull back into the averages, that kind of thing. And I'm looking for buying opportunities on these IPO with breach of the IPO range high. So with this one, WING, high was at $31.99. You can see I'm running an alert at $32.06 to be alerted, to get to the trading platform and be a buyer of WING above the IPO range high at $31.99. Same thing here. You could run it at $32.11 if you wanted to. I don't think it really matters. I'm choosing to do it at $32.06. But that's how I would like to approach that one. And this one, this to give you an idea, of how long sometimes it can take. I mean, we've got this basic IPO, range high up here at $44. And so a breach of a $44, range high up here, and I really ought to change that, and I will, as a matter of fact. I'm going to change that to $44.31, actually. I'm going to change that. I'm going to adjust that to $44.31. And so, I want to be alerted when, I think when, not if, but when a trade above the IPO range high up here at 44.20, then, look to be a buyer. And so that's on a relatively recent IPO. You can see it's been trading for a little while. It's actually been trading long enough that there are some other trade setups that I could actually fashion off of this, and that would be retracement averages and even a squeeze and that kind of thing. But for this one, I'm choosing to wait for a breach of that 44.20 high up there, and I'm going to adjust that to 44.31, by the way, so that you know. Okay, so I just want to make sure that everyone is aware that John Carter will be offering a free video free webinar tomorrow evening, and that is for Tuesday the 16th at 8 p.m. Eastern. And this has been a really popular subject. It's actually something that we're asked about literally year over year, and so and the content is growing a small account and how to do so, and the differences between a growth account and an income account, for instance. All right, so and there are differences and there are different ways to trade them, and John's going to go through that. He's been doing this for a couple of years now because it's something that people have an awful lot of interest in. A lot of people, are coming in new to trading and want to be able to have exposure to the markets, but and want to have a nice return, but want to start out with a five or so anyway $1,000 trading account, five maybe 10 some odd $1,000 trading account, and the fact is, it can be done. You can have exposure to the markets with a smaller trading account, but there are different ways of trading some of that stuff. So the link, as you can see here on the screen, simpleroptions.com/growth training. All right, /growth training. And in that webinar, John is going to be discussing the difference between trading for income versus growth, and why attempt to double your account before it goes to zero in 12 months or less. And so, that obviously interesting in and of itself, how to control risk while being this aggressive style of trader, what stops to use and when, the mindset of aggressive trader, and more. So if you will go to that link and are interested in joining us for this webinar, again, it will be free tomorrow, Tuesday, the 16th at 8 p.m. Eastern. That is 7 Central. You will simply need to enter your first name and email address, hit register now, and you will receive then a link that will take you to the webinar as well as remind you about the webinar. So hope to see you guys there. Good trading and good evening. See you at the webinar. Good night.